Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters. In the secluded ambiance of hotel rooms, Dario Argento crafted his greatest cinematic creations, seeking solace from the outside world to delve into his nightmares. Now, he finds himself in a hotel room to return to the very setting that ignited his creative fervor to conclude his latest script and participates in an intimate interview, all while being followed by a film crew documenting his life for a movie about his illustrious career. This is my raw reaction review to Dario Argento's Panico. Welcome back, guys. I had the pleasure of checking out Shudder's newest release, which, of course, immediately piqued my interest. Admittedly, Dario Argento's filmography is a big blind spot for me when it comes to essential horror viewing. With the exception of Suspiria, a lot of things just got lost in the shuffle since I didn't really see a lot of his work on television as a kid. I took this documentary as an opportunity to get my feet wet and dive into the Argento side of things. We've had so many great horror documentaries over the last couple years, I was really curious to see how this one was going to actually match up to those others. My initial impression for this one was it had a much slower pace than a lot of the other docs that I've checked out. It really lets the audience sit with whoever's speaking and gives them the breathing room to really take in their words and reflect on what they're actually saying. Now, this documentary is primarily in Italian, so you do spend a lot of time reading the subtitles, but I found myself quite enamored with what each person was saying and found a lot of value in it. I think sometimes when you have those subtitles like that, it allows you to lean in and listen a little more, pay attention to what someone's saying, and really reflect on it. So I did see that as a pretty big positive for me. I think sometimes those subtitles can be a little bit of a turnoff for viewers just because they have to do a little extra work. But honestly, once you get into the actual documentary itself and you're just listening and reading, you almost forget that you're reading. So I think it's a pretty big positive, and I think there's a lot of value with it. It really helps keep your attention. The documentary uses Argento's films as a framework to tell both his professional and personal stories, which really is where this documentary stands out. Hearing Dario Argento speak about his process and mentally how he feels while creating his next work is something as a viewer you're going to absorb, and even as the documentary ends, his words are going to leave a lasting impression. We get to see how, as a creative, the professional world tends to bleed into your personal life, sometimes unable to unmarry yourself from the stress of your next creation. And I think as a creative and as creatives watch this documentary, I think you're going to really resonate with it because when you get that one idea, that one creation that you just can't stop thinking about, it does tend to affect your personal life. And, I think hearing Dario Argento speak on this, someone who is prominent like that and who has been around for decades and how he still does deal with that, I think that's something that's going to be such an important talking point for creatives and viewers in general. We get to see modern Dario Argento working on a project, but also flashbacks to his older works and him as a younger creator. One of the most profound moments in the documentary is a clip of Argento speaking on the urge to commit suicide as it creates another work. While certain moments produce a melancholy tone, it's important to see that side of the creative process and how a creation can actually take a toll on your personal life. One of the biggest positives of this documentary is the humanity that they bring to Dario Argento himself, his creative process, and just the creation of these works. We get to see interviews with his daughter, his ex-wife, some of his colleagues, and other directors who've been affected by his work, like Guillermo del Toro. There's a lot of interesting stories in here about his relationships and how they've been altered in a sense throughout the decades of his works, and how while he's working on a film, those relationships do change. And we even get the backstory of his mother and how she affected his work in terms of how he composes shots and uses females in his lead roles, and even the death of his father and how that had affected him. And he even has a breakdown with his daughter, which she says is one of those moments that is stuck in her mind. So, looking at these stories and bringing that humanity to a lot of these creators that we all look up to and admire their works is something that is such a big positive of this, because again, we do have that melancholy tone here, but it's something I think a lot of people are going to resonate with because we are putting those human ties on these works. While this documentary does tackle Argento's films throughout his career, it is more of a backdrop to navigate his life. If you're looking for an in-depth analysis of his works, this documentary may be a little underwhelming to you since that isn't the main goal of the story. Coming into Dario Argento's Panico, I wasn't sure what to expect, but I think it's a great bridge from getting to know the creator and then uncovering his filmography. Although this doesn't make it into one of my favorite documentaries in recent years, this is still a strong outing to tell a very personal story about Dario Argento. Overall, I'm going to give Dario Argento's Panico a solid recommend. If you're like me and aren't too familiar with all of Argento's works, I think this documentary will make you hungry to sit down and watch some of the greatest works in the giallo genre. This certainly made me eager to take a deeper dive into Argento's filmography, so expect some reviews to hit the channel throughout 2024. Stay tuned for those, and of course, we have a lot of great stuff on the channel right now. We just dropped our Here for Blood review, and of course, Hundreds of Beavers. That review's also on the channel as well, so please give us a like, and if you think we've earned it, hit that subscribe button. But until next time, I'm Luke Janesco, and stay scared.